Welcome to the Deconstructing Data podcast. I'm Jessie Lezak, fractional CMO at BDEX, along with David Finkelstein, BDEX's founder and CEO. What's new this week, David?
Hey, Jesse, just playing catch up after the holidays. It's always kind of crazy after being out a little bit for a holiday, right? There's a lot of catch up, and I'm sure everybody out there is doing the same as well this week. How about you?
I can totally relate. I feel
Yeah.
that there's just a lot going on in a good way. So it's good to have activity, but we've just like a regular week, we've got another great episode of Deconstructing Data planned.
Yeah.
And so today on Deconstructing Data, we're thrilled to welcome Adam Ortman. He's the founder and CEO of Kinetic319, a leading media agency. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Hey guys, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, Adam. We're glad you're here to join us on the show today, and would love for you to kick it off for us. Give our listeners and viewers a chance to get to know you a little bit. So why don't you give us a little bit about your background and what led you to become the founder and CEO of Kinetic319 and what you guys are doing today?
What led me to become a founder? I mean, I don't think we have time for that, but in general, Adam Ortman, founder and CEO of Kinetic319. Been in agency life my entire career. So, after about 20 years, you definitely feel that you can do it better. And I know that we can at Kinetic319, which is a media agency, as Jesse said. We work with clients around the globe. We have a team primarily domestically here in the States, and we work with industries across the board, whether it is higher ed, whether it's SaaS, B2B, retail, e-commerce, whatever it may be. We support our clients through media planning, strategy, the actual execution of campaigns, both digital in nature and traditional in nature, SEO and content writing. And the analytics is really what puts a giant bow on everything that we do, which is really relevant to what we're talking about today.
Yeah, absolutely. So in specific to that, what we're going to talk about today, let's jump in. We've got some interesting topics, and we'd love for you to kick this one off. A lead to revenue loop, optimizing campaign profitability. What are we talking about here?
Yeah. We have some great topics, and the topics that we have today are really ones that I talk with clients of every size about. And, whether it's a lead gen client or an e-commerce based client or even a drive to retail client, as well as any size, whether you're small in nature or large in nature, I think that the topics that we really picked today will really fit well with any of these types of campaigns or any types of marketing initiatives. But the first one about this lead to revenue loop is specifically for lead generating clients. And I think this is really important. We actually just published a book called Converting Leads into Sales. We do a lot of our own thought leadership around the world. And this topic specifically is one that I love to talk about because I get frustrated in today's market where a lot of groups are just generating leads, right? If you have an internal marketing team or if you have an external agency partner or a third party generating leads and putting marketing campaigns out into the world, that's it. Generating leads should not be the end of the story. And I think analytics is really what tugs on that rope a lot. So the crux of this topic is really, while we're generating leads, what are those leads doing? Well, how are they maturing into opportunities? How is the sales team viewing the quality of these leads? So really the topic of this specific, or the crux of this specific topic is, let's follow the lead through the process of sale to ultimately a closed opportunity or a win. And how do we map that back to our marketing to make it much more actionable at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, and I think that that's one of the sort of things that
I can't hear you guys.
What's that?
You can't hear us?
I can hear you, Jesse. I can't hear David.
Oh, I hear David. That's interesting.
Jesse,
David, I see your mouth moving. So sorry.
Adam, you can't hear me?
I hear you, David.
All right, we're having technical difficulties, people, huh?
I don't see any errors. Maybe a refresh might help.
Maybe.
Everyone's internet okay?
That is a problem we haven't seen before.
Yes, that's true. I'll do a quick refresh here. One
Great.
moment.
Okay.
Let me see if, should I do the same? I'm not sure.
Let's see what happens when Jessie joins back, because she's the
Can
host.
hear you, David.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but
Nope.
he can't still
No,
hear me. So I'm going to do the same. I'll jump out real quick.
You can't hear us, Adam? You can't hear me anymore? Yeah, good. Okay, he hit refresh. Awesome. Well, technical difficulties on our technical show, Deconstructing Data. Adam, you're back. Can you hear me? I don't hear you. I wonder if people on the show can hear it. If you're listening in, let us know. Who do you hear? Who do you not hear? Adam, apparently. David's here. David, do you hear me?
I'm back.
You hear me, David?
I hear you. I hear everybody.
I don't hear Adam.
Adam, you're on mute. I can see your mute button.
Oh, Adam's on mute.
Now I'm not on mute. There we go.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear both of you.
All right. Good. We're
I
back.
don't know if
Sorry,
anybody
folks.
did.
All right.
You know, guys, it's after holidays. It's December. It's fine. Totally fine.
What are we
Yeah,
gonna
David,
do?
let's jump back in, David. What was your question to me?
StreamYard was taking a vacation there for a second. Okay. Yeah, what I was going to say is about what you're talking about is sort of one of those challenges that we've heard a lot of people talk about is, the attribution part of it, understanding when a lead comes in, being able to follow it to a conversion, and then being able to track back where did that actual lead come from? Where's the original attribution? There's a lot of platforms out there that want to raise their hands and say, hey, I'm the one that generated that lead, but often you don't really know, right? Because did it come from the first impression, the second one, the third one, and maybe there were, impressions across 3 different channels, and eventually someone clicked and converted, but guess what? All 3 of those channels are saying, hey, yeah, they're all waving their hands and saying that conversion is mine. Love to kind of have you talk us through how you, how are you overcoming that challenge?
Yeah. Well, and going back to something you just mentioned, which is really this idea that every platform wants as much credit as they can get.
Yeah.
And Meta, in my mind, is the worst culprit of this. You get a whisper of an ad, and they will take full credit for it all day long.
Yeah.
When you have the lead. So it's a very common hurdle that a lot of companies go through. But I will say that when we start with a new client, indifferent of their legacy or how large they are, or how complex their campaigns are, we always do a full audit. And I think starting with that is really, really important, because indifferent of where the actual lead is coming from to the website and then ultimately submitting, you do want to make sure that when you are submitting a lead or creating a record in whatever CRM you're using, HubSpot, Salesforce, whatever it may be, that the bits and bobs of the person, not only just their name, your first name, last name, email address of the individual, but also the information that is very important to marketing and the overall business from a sourcing perspective, carries through it into the CRM. So that's so important, is when you're looking at creating your campaigns and all of the URLs that you're managing and trafficking across your marketing, you want to make sure that you have a very clear setup with your UTMs, for example. I think UTMs is very universal across any type of marketing campaign. So Google Analytics 4 has your UTMs that when you click on an ad, the URL will generate, and you'll be able to actually put in pieces of code that allows us to see where what the campaign is, where was it coming from, other attributes. Creative can even be a variable in that string. So having those variables carry through with the lead to the CRM, I think is the most foundational thing a business can do from an attribution perspective, because then you get clear line of sight into this person came to the website, they submitted a lead, and here are some extra variables from a data perspective or an information perspective, well beyond just the specific contact's name, email address, etc.
Yeah,
That's
a good point. I mean,
foundational bit. And then
yeah,
you had mentioned something a little bit more beyond that, which is the multi-touch attribution, which I'll leave that for a little bit down the road in this podcast. The other item that I really like in this lead to revenue conversation is, yes, you can add in UTM variables into your URLs. That's something that you can either manually put in, or many of the platforms like Google Ads and Meta and the others actually auto tag your ads to put that in for you. The one item that's a bit more advanced that I always recommend is for when the lead submits into the CRM, there is a bit of code. Facebook IDs have it, Google Ads, which is the Google Click ID, has it, which is usually about 100-character alphanumeric code. And this is really, really important because if you're not dealing with systems that natively talk to each other through an API connection, for example, passing a Google Click ID through the form lead into the CRM, allowing that form lead to then mature into a sale, and then you're able to actually pass that information back into Google Ads, for example, that sale information, the revenue information, etc., into Google, and then you're actually able to unlock this larger picture. So you're able to say, okay, this lead turned into a sale. We know it came from Google Ads because it has a Google Click ID and we have all the UTM parameters in place. By uploading this code back into Google, you're telling Google that one, this sale took place, but also you're able to then correlate the sale back to the ad that they clicked on, the device that that person was on, the geographic location that that person was in, depending on some privacy items. But you unlock this larger picture, and it's really that larger picture that allows you to then optimize your media to that deeper sale metric rather than just surface level leads. And that's really where the success that's where the successful level is that you want to get to. You want to close that loop and start to optimize to deeper metrics than just say form submits.
yeah, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And being able to have that feedback loop is obviously what enables you to improve the tracking mechanism and make sure that you understand. And on the other hand, it also allows Google to optimize the ad delivery as well, right? Because then they're optimizing
Absolutely.
it based on on the leads that convert and the sales and understanding what the CPA is and all that thing.
Yeah. I mean, without good data getting passed to Google, indifferent of its source, Google can't do its job, right? And Google does a fantastic job of optimizing campaigns in real time for every search that takes place. So they're optimizing bids, they're looking at different audiences, they're looking at different targeting capabilities, and they're doing that while everyone is searching within milliseconds. And so ensuring that we're feeding the Google gods the best data possible to the metrics that are most important to our businesses, that's how we win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Really great topics. And I know you mentioned multi-touch attribution earlier, and I'm a marketer, so I can talk about attribution all day. So I'm eager to get into this next topic. Um, let's talk about multi-touch attribution and beyond paid media channels. Can you kick us
Yeah.
off, Adam?
Yeah, of course. Multi-touch attribution is really bringing data and measurement to media consumption behaviors that we all do as people every day. And so, what really the foundation of this topic is I'm a consumer. I am on my telephone, on my cell phone. I'm on watching TV. I'm on my laptop. I'm on my tablet. I'm listening to the radio. I'm bombarded with media all day, every day. A ridiculous amount of media. That's even indifferent if I'm a marketer or not. And that multi-touch attribution really is the measurement and the science behind, of all of the media that I am consuming in a single day, many of those touch points may include media executions or advertising from a single company. But which of those media components or tactics really influenced my ultimate purchase? And that idea of multi-touch attribution allows us to measure when I watched an ad on CTV, when I clicked on a Google ad, and when I watched a YouTube video. Multi-touch attribution allows us to measure those touch points on an individual level, but when you're looking at one individual, it's hard to understand efficiency and performance. But when you have that level of data at scale, then you actually get to start to see some really interesting pictures. So if programmatic display is present, if YouTube is present, if social ads are present, what is the best combination and who gets the most value? And that's really what multi-touch attribution allows us to do. So by default, most companies are giving all of their credit to whatever the last interacting piece of media was. Paid search is a good example. So someone goes to Google, they type in hiking boots, they click on hiking boots, the ad on the top of Google Ads or Google, they go to the website and then they purchase. To that hiking boot store, all of the credit for that sale would be going to a Google ad on the top of Google, which is fine. That's fine. Specifically if you're just, spending dollars on Google ads. But when you do have very multi-tactic, more robust and complex media mixes, you do want to ensure that, that person that bought the hiking boots, did they watch a YouTube ad? Did they, see something on TV? Did they interact with an email? And so the Google ads being the sole earner of that credit is what we would call last click. So with multi-touch attribution, there's a wide variety of models that go into place. So last click is by default the model that the majority of companies use. But there's other models like first click. Does the first touch point get all the credit? There's position based, which is if we want to weigh the first touch point differently than the middle touch point than the last touch point, or linear, which means all touch points get the same credit, just divided evenly. Excuse me. So multi-touch attribution actually gives you the ability to see a larger customer journey and then also start to attribute your overall marketing's performance against that journey.
Yeah, it's a really good point, and I've seen some really good use cases that have shown that when you measure that properly, you can really hone in on the sort of the combination of the different touches that are most effective. And
Yeah.
so, like we've done some campaigns with some pretty big, furniture retailers, for example, and they're doing everything from like literally TV, radio, digital, direct mail. But when they're able to measure all of those things, and they've actually sort of been able to come up with a formula that says, okay, we know that if we hit them this many times on TV, then on radio, and then we send them something in the mail, right? That by the time they get that piece in the mail, they're saying to themselves, oh yeah, I saw that, I saw that ad, I remember hearing it, and this is a reminder that I need to act. And now they bring in this coupon or whatever they came in the mail into the store. And so it's really that multi-touch process that brought them in, where just sending them that thing in the mail might not have done it. And they've actually been able to measure that and see that just sending it in the mail didn't work. Yes, they got some conversion, but they were able to increase that conversion rate by adding those additional touches.
This is where, we had the whole topic of big data, right? Big data was a big buzzword probably, 10 years ago? It still kind of is. But what your example there is perfect, because without big data, you wouldn't be able to glean that insight and then impact your business, right? And if your point here that you just made is the last touch point is that coupon in the mail, without having the larger picture at play, you would be spending $80 million in direct mail, right? But without understanding that it's actually just a piece of the pie rather than the entire pie.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's also why we see I feel like direct mail is without a doubt making a comeback.
Totally.
But it's very, it's much more pinpoint targeted in that way.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like in the past, we used to just get flooded with direct mail, like City Furniture or whatever it is, they would just send you, flyers in the mail constantly until you're finally ready to buy something. But now they're able to be a lot more strategic about it, and to the point of like what I just described, they're able to hone in on exactly what that formula is and where they need to touch you before they send you that direct mail. So they don't have to send you a piece every month. They now have a much more strategic, process that is much more predictable in their conversions.
It is. And it makes that person less costly to acquire, if you think about it, because they're already made aware. And by the time that they're made more aware, they're more likely, and the propensity of them to actually purchase from you is higher.
Yeah.
So you're basically engaging someone that already knows about you. A very clear example that we do at Kinetic319 is YouTube does this very, very well as well. So YouTube, you can do very cheap impressions at the upper funnel, right? Put in your targeting within Google Ads. We're seeing cost per views of 0.003. That's fractions of a penny, nothing. So even if you're spending $5 or $10 on YouTube, a very high funnel awareness driving medium, there's now other types of campaigns and audiences that you can build that only target viewers of your YouTube ad. So this is technically a multi-touch strategy because you're spending very cost effectively to gain awareness in YouTube, and then you're able to be a little bit more mid-funnel with maybe a PMAX campaign or a search campaign that only targets individuals that are already aware of you because you know that they've seen your YouTube ad. So having this kind of leveled approach, multi-touch view allows you to actually engage with your customers in a much more productive way.
So I'm curious, what do you think about waiting touches? Like a podcast appearance on a LinkedIn Live might get a click, but it warms the entire funnel. But like,
Mhm.
how do you build that kind of brand touch into attribution in a meaningful way, or do you?
Multi-touch attribution, we always approach from a case-by-case basis because every brand is going to have a different media mix. Every customer journey is going to be different, and they're never in a straight line. So I usually weigh specific types of position-based attribution modeling if it is seasonal in nature. That's usually when I do it. If there's some sort of tent pole event or something that you would not necessarily do on an ongoing basis. So maybe you have a podcast or something that you do once a month, right? You may weigh that a little bit heavier because the rest of your media might be more evergreen or more consistent throughout the period of time. And you want to give that specific event a little bit more weight because it's not something you do all the time, and you do it a little bit differently to address with your customers. That's just one example. But again, we would approach it very uniquely across all of the companies because
Mhm.
no one size fits all strategy exists.
Yeah, that's a really great way to explain it, though.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else on multi-touch attribution before we move on?
The secondary item here with the beyond paid media, and I think that even
Oh,
people that
yeah.
are well versed in multi-touch attribution, they often do forget about the organic and the direct channels. And so I do think that thinking about SEO, thinking about your direct traffic, even the customers that are coming back to you, how do you stimulate repurchase? How do you further stimulate loyalty? Are very, very important. But the additional item here that I really want to bring up is how incredibly impactful AI chat has been to this specific topic, because you're not necessarily paying to play for visibility in AI chat or any of the LLMs. And so when you're looking at your multi-touch attribution modeling, don't just look at the paid channels. I know that's the one that everyone likes to look at because there's a lot of control with your budget and your optimizations. But from an SEO and now even a GEO perspective, with Connect319, we're very, very much so focused on that initiative as well, because it is changing your customer journey flows literally overnight. So ensuring that as a business, you're definitely looking at multi-touch attribution. You're definitely leaning in on the paid channels, but I do recommend opening up your purview a little bit to include GEO and SEO as well, because that space in particular within our industries is being reinvented seemingly every day.
Definitely.
Yeah, that
Yes.
sure is.
Yeah.
It's a whole
Yeah.
other topic.
Which I'm also very happy that this topic is not fully about AI, because if I talk about AI one more time in my day, I might just fall over. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
it's a topic that comes up a lot, obviously,
It is.
and it's changing a lot. It's changing the way we do a lot.
It is.
But yeah, I'm happy not to talk about it as well. A little AI vacation would be nice.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
I can always talk about attribution, but we can transition into the next topic unless there's anything more about beyond the paid media channels part of it, because it is really important. And I feel
It
like
is.
CFOs make us CMOs, like want to look at paid more than
Mhm.
anything. But a lot of the time, organic's bringing in value.
It is. And when you're looking at beyond paid, the organic stuff, it can also even go into your trade show, your conference, any of those types of event or experiential based marketing efforts, any sponsorships that you're doing that is not necessarily a paid advertising tactic, or even just in PR. I think PR is really incredibly important as well. It's not necessarily a paid media arm, but it does a lot of legwork for businesses today. And anytime you can incorporate that into your consumer journey, a little bit stickier because you don't own a lot of those publication websites or environments. Um, it's really, really important. So just, I think having some time and some space with your team to ideate about these things and say, hey, how do we get the full picture of the impact of what we're doing out into the world, whether paid in nature or organic in nature, is impacting our business? And how can we get as granular with our tracking as possible within the realm of the law? I will say, how can we do the best job that we can to really understand impact? Those types of conversations, I've been in roundtables with CMOs, CFOs, CIOs, and CTOs, and it is such a productive time, because I do think that we just get in the weeds and we're going through our paces of our days, but having a time to just sit down and say, hey, this is all that we're doing. Let's see how we can connect the dots in a better way. I think having that space and that time is really important.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And this
Communication.
podcast for me, like this is a huge method of going beyond the paid
Yeah,
media. I mean, we have 180 hours of content out there now.
Mhm.
Um,
amazing.
yeah, we've been doing this for over 3 years, and that's, to me, that's priceless. All those hours of content out there and all the clips that we've
Mhm.
cut and shared, that goes a long way as well.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely.
And we'll be talking more about, deconstructing data here again at the end of the episode. But
Mhm.
before then, marketing efficiency,
Yeah.
marketing efficiency ratio, measuring full funnel impact. So can you kick us off on this topic?
Of course. I think I was one that wanted this one in here. I think,
Yes.
please, let's talk about it. It's really important. It actually is very, very closely related to multi-touch attribution as well, or just attribution in general, because I think any business who is leveraging multiple types of advertising tactics in their practices, at the very least, even if you throw out multi-touch attribution completely out the window, right? Last click all day. Great. Look at MER, because marketing efficiency ratio allows you to look at your business's entire revenue compared to what you're spending on marketing. And in today's world, as we mentioned, marketing and media in general is just very fragmented. You're kind of all over the place as a consumer these days, getting bombarded with messages from everywhere. So awareness with a radio ad, let's just say, from the furniture company that you referenced, David, that is that person listens to a radio ad and then goes direct to the website to actually convert, like they just buy a lamp or something, let's just say. So even if a company doesn't necessarily have the mechanisms in place to track multi-touch attribution to say this person listened to this ad on Spotify and then came to the website and converted or purchased. MER accounts for this in a way. So what you're able to say as a business or even as a marketing team in general is to say, is my marketing, while it scales up and down, how is that impacting the entire business's performance? So we actually have some views in our dashboards that we build for all of our clients where we're able to see total business revenue overlaid with total media expense. It's more of a high level visual, but it tells an interesting story because if you're able to optimize your campaigns in a way that impacts the business to a fuller extent, you're actually able to see that ratio move from maybe every $1 you spend in marketing, you get $2, right? Maybe that turns into $3. Maybe that turns into $6. So it actually is a very high level mechanism that I recommend to a lot of businesses to look at. And CFOs love this one. CMOs love this one because it does tell that story. It says when we spend X, we get Y. They're not necessarily causation, but they are correlative in nature. So you are able to see, what is a good MER, and a good MER is anything 3 plus, really. You get $1, you're spending $1 on marketing, you're getting $3 back. We're usually seeing them in the 6 to 10 plus range because you are activating across a lot of different mechanisms. But MER is a good metric, and I think not a lot of companies are looking at it, and they should.
Interesting. Yeah, and
Yeah.
those are some impressive numbers.
Yeah, I agree. It's absolutely something you need to be looking at. People need to be very hyper focused on where their spending is, and I think that people have become much more focused on that. Really, in the last, I'll call it 5 years, I feel like COVID changed a lot of things for people. They started, taking a much closer look at where they're spending their media dollars, and how that's converting into revenue for them. And that has just continued. Like, we haven't gone backwards,
No.
I think it's something that changed at that time. People definitely became a lot more focused on how they were spending money in many areas, but specifically in media for sure. And it hasn't changed. I think it has continued since then.
Oh, and I think that it will only continue. So the accountability of marketing budgets has only gotten more and more detailed, I would say.
Yeah.
So, which is a very welcomed challenge for myself and my team because we are extremely data-driven marketers. It's one of those things where if we're telling you using our gut what you should do, you should really question what Chinese food we had for lunch because the data should be the compass at the end of the day.
That's true.
And that data is directly related to the story that your marketing budget is telling. And that story should ultimately levy up to the client or end business's goals.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that you mentioned goals because that's something we talked about a number of times. Is like when you're making these types of decisions about media spend or whatever it is, like you need to talk about what the goal is first, right? And define those goals, and then make those moves and make those changes based on those goals. I think too many people kind of go in blindly and say, oh, we should be spending more, or we should be spending less, but why? Define why first. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, the days of Mad Men blasted billboards and TV radio ads willy-nilly are well behind us, as they should be.
Yeah, definitely. Well, now it's difficult, at least from what I see as more of an organic marketer, to show dark social or the proof of what some of these, like a live stream, you don't see that coming through, attribution software. So,
it's true. Well, that's also, that's another reason why that higher level MER does take those things into consideration, right? Because it's looking at your overall marketing effectiveness rather than
like
individual channels.
Attribution type of channels. Interesting.
We always look at both, and I do recommend looking at both, but you should always be looking at your marketing practice from multiple perspectives And if you're just doing MER, if you're just doing multi-touch attribution, great. But also, it is so much better to have that 360. And
Oh, yeah.
also, when you're one of the things that I always really have great conversations about with my clients is if we can understand what's going on with the business as a whole, rather than being, put into our silo of marketing, which is fine, but we are much more effective partners when we can see the larger picture, right? When we're just one
Definitely.
tree in a forest, we can see what's going on with the whole forest so that we can help it grow better.
100%.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, we got to make sure we get to our last topic, which we ask all the guests who come on Deconstructing Data, which is what are some of your favorite tools in your tech stack, Adam?
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
This is something that I nerd out about a lot because just my personal tech stack and my work tech stack. So when it comes to work and I think for a lot of people on this podcast, um, we use a wide variety of different types of tech in our daily lives. We would not survive without Asana. So if you're not using a project management tool like Asana or Monday or whatever it may be, um, try it out because it keeps you sane at the end of the day. We're all very human. As humans, we can't remember everything. And so having something where you can just quickly jot down, prioritize, task out, whatever it is, um, Asana is a fantastic tool for us. Some other just agency operations, we definitely use obviously Teams. Chat keeps us connected, all of the Microsoft Suite tools. One that we use all the time, which is called Fathom, is our AI note taker. Love it. I've tried out a
Mhm.
lot of them, and Fathom is my favorite because it gives you fantastic AI summaries. It also allows you to push in, follow-up emails, pre-meeting agendas. It pushes all of that, and it directly integrates with Asana. So every meeting that we have with a client, it tracks all of our action items and then pushes them into that specific client's project.
Oh, no
So
way.
it saves so much time. Yeah, so
Yeah.
much
That's
time at the end of the day.
amazing. So
Yeah,
wait,
and
Yeah.
Fathom integrates with Asana, and
yep,
then it'll take the notes from, say, like an onboarding call and then create all of the tasks?
yeah.
Wow, that's
And then
impressive.
our client success managers will go in and assign them appropriately. Yeah,
Mm.
Amazing.
it's
Wow.
I
great.
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, I'm a big Asana fan. I like Asana myself too.
Yeah,
Um,
I've been using it for a very long time. It's a fantastic tool.
Yeah. I use Fathom
Definitely.
as well. So too. Yeah.
Good, good.
Nice.
And the last one I would say, we build all of our dashboards in Looker, which used to be Google Data Studio. Looker is a free tool for anyone that is looking to get some visuals of their data. The reason why we use Looker is it's very user friendly. It's very secure if you want to lock it down, and it's easy to access, right? So if you're in like the Tableaus and some of the others in the world that are a little bit harder to get into and manage from the front end and the back end. I did a huge assessment a few years ago on all of the different visibility tools. Looker was the easiest one to use. A lot of where our rigor and our main value add is we actually manage about 700 APIs that push data into a data warehouse that then pushes it into Looker. So we do have some advancements behind the scenes, but Looker is so easy to just connect to your Google Ads account, your Google Analytics account, and you can pull data directly in. So when Universal Analytics, Google Analytics, converted from Universal to GA4, it was a detriment to my life
Mhm.
because all of
Yeah.
my reports were gone. All of the
Yeah.
ones that I loved went out the window. But when you link up your Google Analytics account to a Looker page, you can very easily put charts and graphs and things together like you could in Universal Analytics, much faster than you can do it in GA4 today. So whether you're doing just basic reporting for your own campaigns or you want to just look at slicing, dicing data within Google Analytics, Looker is a great tool.
That's
Awesome. Well,
awesome.
that was really great. I appreciate
Good.
you sharing all of that
Mhm.
because I know our listeners always like to, hear some of the tools that make us tick.
Good.
And we always like to hear about it as well. We learn a lot. And learned about how you can integrate Fathom with Asana, and I thought that's pretty cool. I didn't know about that.
It was just released like a month ago.
Nice.
It's very exciting. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that's so cool. Well, in closing, Adam, would you like to let listeners know how they could find you if they wanted to reach out after the show?
Definitely. Yeah. So kinetic319.com is our website. So feel free to join us there. We do a lot of blog posts, a lot of really good thought leadership. We're actually doing a lot of primary research, which sets us apart from a lot of other agencies. So we're usually doing about 3 to 4 primary market studies a year. So go online, go, on kinetic319.com, see what we're studying in that specific moment. We have a lot of industry specific studies that we've conducted. Also check us out on social. So LinkedIn, Facebook, X, we're posting all the time. We just started a new series a couple months ago called Sidewalk Sessions, which it's a lot of our own kind of just tidbits. It's very snackable content, about 2 minutes long, just talking about things that are very recent in the industry, some tips and tricks. It's myself as well as some of our clients, some of our team, partner teams,
Cool.
and our staff. So check us out on social. Come check us out at kinetic319.com. That would be the easiest.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today, Adam. We appreciate your insights and you sharing all these insights with our viewers and listeners. So thank you again.
So happy to. And thanks for having me on, and thanks for listening to those that are listening.
Yeah, definitely. This was such a valuable conversation. And we always love having leaders like you on Deconstructing Data.
Yeah,
It's a great
absolutely.
episode.
Yeah, this was a great episode. And to our listeners, thanks for joining us on Deconstructing Data. We appreciate you spending time with us and being part of these conversations that move the industry forward.
Yes, absolutely. And if you're watching today thinking, I might be a great fit for this show, or I know someone who would be, we'd love to talk. So, our Thursday slot, which we're doing right now, and we do regularly every Thursday at 4, those are booked through May 2026. But we're opening up a new option on Tuesdays for guests who want to come on a little sooner.
Yeah, so it's a special Tuesday recording slot where your logo appears on screen. You get a full minute to showcase your product or play a short video. It's a $500 value and a great way to get in front of our audience without waiting for months or years, because we are booked up, what did we say, through May of 2026, I think.
May 2026. Yeah. If that sounds right for you or your company, reach out. We'd love you on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we wrap up, we're going to play a quick outro video that gives you a deeper look at who BeatX is and why we host these conversations every week. So stick around for that, and it'll give you a sense of how BeatX helps brands connect with their audiences through better data.
Awesome. Well, have a great evening, everyone.
So audience members, we want to invite you to get powered by BeatX. Build authentic connections with your audience and drive unprecedented engagement. So just imagine harnessing the power of AI to craft your audiences that truly resonate with your brand, ensuring that your marketing is hitting the mark every time. We want to bring you closer to those marketing goals, and we're eager to guide you. So just visit beatx.com. You can click on the Talk to an Expert button and get powered by BeatX.